Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Sports Hounds, another Sunday edition of the Sports Hounds NFL Draft Recap, exclusively on a2dradio.com. As always, we're brought to you by our doc, make them yours too, Dr. Ball Fidel, specialized physical therapy, 2 convenient locations, Burlington and Cherry Hill. He's our doc, make them yours too. Let them know A2D Radio sent you. Also brought to you by Body Check Wellness. They promote wellness, balance, and recovery by using the full potential of hemp. They come in extracts, blends, gummies, and topicals. Use promo code A2D for 20% off. We got Brad Ryer in the house representing the New York Giants. It's going to be an NFL draft recap show. The NFL draft is in the books. We're going to have your winners, your losers. We're going to do some playoff predictions. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk a lot of football. Because some teams got better, some teams stayed in neutral, and some teams just stink. And I think it's funny that all the teams that stink, it's the same teams in the top 5 every year. It's the Bengals, it's the Jets, it's this team, it's that team.
I think you're way off.
I mean, we'll see. I'm about to pull up who they got later on, but yeah, I wasn't a fan of what the Jets did at all.
I think you're
not at all
clueless about the Jets.
So the panel tonight, representing the New York Football Giants, Mr. Brad Ryer. I'll be representing my Philadelphia Eagles. And we got our bracketologist, our guru, our prospect, our diamond in the rough, Mr. Chase Robbins. He gave us great bracket advice. He's an NFL junkie. He's a college football junkie as well. So we brought him back to talk about the draft. Chase, your bracket was pretty good.
Yeah, Lyle, Chicago over Illinois, which I predicted, and nobody else had that happen. And then
that was a good one. That was a good one. But we got your Steelers, we got my Eagles, we got the Giants. The poll question tonight: did your favorite team win the NFL draft? Hashtag agree, hashtag disagree. Is how you jump in. Say who you're affiliated with. I know a lot of us are Eagles fans. We got some New York guys. We got Chase representing the Steelers tonight. But I know Don 19. We got Lions fans. We got Rosca out on the West Coast. You know, this show's for everyone. Air your grievances. Sing your team's praises. We'll get to your comments later on in the show. We'll start with the Eagles. They picked first in the first round of the 3 teams represented on the panel here. They trade with Dallas. They leapfrog the Giants. And based on the New York Giants pick at number 20, which I think was a reach, they really wanted Devontae Smith. I think it would have made a lot of sense. The Eagles jump him. They grabbed the Heisman Trophy winner, wide receiver, Devontae Smith. I couldn't be prouder of Howie Roseman and the Eagles for absolutely nailing this pick. They get an A.
Too bad he screwed up the second and third pick, though.
He did not screw up the second pick.
Because
the second pick.
You're drafting a guy who's coming off knee surgery.
Yeah, but the guy's a beast.
Your third pick graduated from Louisiana Tech. I mean, come on.
Well, Louisiana Tech is fine, and after the Louisiana Tech pick, Milton Williams, I didn't like it. I didn't like a damn thing that Howie Roseman did.
7 is a crapshoot anyway. But I mean, the first 3, you were 1 for 3. You did a very good job in the first round, but I don't think you did a very good job in the second round. And I think
I couldn't disagree with you more about Landon Dickerson. The guy is mean. The guy is athletic. The guy's going to move to guard. He's going to move to guard in the NFL, and it's going to be way easier for him to stay healthy.
At 22 years old, he already had a torn meniscus. That's not good. Not for a center.
I mean, come on. ACLs are not. If he had an Achilles, like Sidney Jones did, then I'd be a little skeptical. ACLs, they're like ankle sprains these days. Because we got doctors like Dr.
Not when you're a center.
Because we have a phenomenal medical technology these days, like Dr. Paul Fidel, specialized physical therapy. It's like an ankle sprain. Tearing your ACL, it's like an ankle sprain. It ain't a big deal. It ain't a big deal. And you know what? Maybe he doesn't play until week 6 or week 7. Because we saw what happens when you rush back from injuries with Carson Wentz. It's a total disaster. So we'll start with the first pick, Devontae Smith. You get Jalen Hurts, a no-nonsense receiver that can get off the ball. He can run routes.
Sure about that?
Yes.
5'10",
Yeah.
5'10", 180 pounds. That's pretty small.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, size it, but look at he's the most productive receiver in the history of the SEC.
In college football, he was very productive, but he's going to have professionals guarding him, and he's not going to be playing with a bunch of 5-star recruits. So we'll see. I mean,
he's going to play with professionals. He's going to be playing with the best of those 5-star recruits. And it's going to be up to Jalen Hurts to get him the ball. But for you to go into the season with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Travis Fulgham, Greg Ward, and Jalen Reagor as your top 4 picks, I know you got pretty good tight ends, but for you to not have a dynamic playmaker on the outside, which everyone has at least one in this league, is an extreme disservice. It's an extreme disservice to your young quarterback. I can't evaluate Jalen Hurts with the 4 receivers that I just mentioned. So you move up, you give up 84, you jump the Giants, who clearly wanted a receiver. I wonder how you would be feeling if the Eagles didn't jump the Giants and take Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith were in Giant Blue, you'd be singing his praises about how dynamic he's going to be.
Not when I don't
want to hear your criticism.
Not when I get.
You
not
cannot
when I get
criticize.
First round pick, and I get a guy. I get a speedster who can play running back and who can pass receive. And in the end, we'll get more yardage from the line of scrimmage than your guy at 19.
Is that a bet? Is that a bet?
Anytime you want to bet, he will get more yardage.
Devontae Smith will have more. All I have to do, Devontae Smith has to have more yards from scrimmage than Kadarius Tooney. And I win the bet. Whatever you want to bet.
And his punt returns too, because all the yardage.
Yeah, scrimmage yards. That counts. I'm sure Devontae Smith should return punts for us and kicks for us. We'll see what they do. But I don't even need that. I don't even need that. That's a foolish bet.
He will get more yardage. He will get more yardage than your guy, who, by the way, will be on IR by week 8. Because a 180-pound, 5'10" receiver that has to go over the middle will get destroyed.
No, he's tough as nails. He's tough as nails.
Yeah, in college.
He's tough as nails. And Landon Dickerson, it's tough as nails. And you know, Milton Williams, defensive tackle at Louisiana Tech. You know, I had to look him up.
Come on.
Yeah,
Rob.
I had to look him up. I don't like that. You know how I feel about these small school guys, but I looked him up and I liked what I saw. So I think Howie did a really good job. A really good job on paper.
He also screwed up his drafting so bad, he ended up having to give back a 3rd-round pick to make sure he got his guy. And let's be honest, the Giants, as far as I was concerned, my only bitch was I wanted the kid to pay, but I mean, you know, that's kind of who I wanted. I didn't really think we needed another wide receiver, but you know, I got one, so I can't fight that. But when I see that he can be a running back and be a wide receiver, and he's going to return punts and maybe kickoffs, although kickoffs I don't think there's any use for kick returners anymore because they kick the ball in the damn end zone all the time. So. But punt returning is pretty important.
Jack of all trades, masters of none. So I agree with the poll. I'm really excited about what the Eagles did. You get Jalen Hurts. You get him a receiver, not only the best receiver on the board by far, because Waddle Waddle and Pitts and Chase are long gone. You also get him a receiver that he's actually played with before, that he's practiced with before.
Of course, if you stayed in the 6th hole, you would have gotten one of the better receivers. So that's
but I wouldn't have taken.
Waddle was better than Smith. And
I agree with that, but I wouldn't take Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle at 6. I would have stayed 6. I still hate the trade. Howie's not fully off the hook for that trade because I still hate to take the trade because if the board fell that way and the Eagles are at 6, you take Penei Sewell. So you don't even have to experiment with Dillard. You can just ship his ass out of town because he stinks. Andre Dillard stinks, and he can't play. You take Penei Sewell at 6, or you take Surtain at 6. So Howie Roseman, maybe I have to. I still think they did a good job in the draft, but I can't give them an A grade. I can give them.
I give them.
I would have liked to have seen them take.
They get an A for the 1st round and a C+ overall.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm at a B minus with the Eagles. Chase, what do you think of Devontae Smith? Is he going to be able to play in this league, or is he going to be injured and stinky like Brad thinks?
I think he'll play a lot. I think he'll get injured a couple times, but for the most part, I think he'd be all healthy and be like the top receiver for many, many years.
Well, what do you think? So you think he's going to ultimately be a top receiver for many years?
Yes.
So that's a good pick by my Eagles, huh?
Yeah, that's what I think.
And I see that like people got to relax with the Venom because you could pick anybody and people are going to say be mad, but I mean the Penn State Micah Parsons, I mean he's a good player, a little bit of a cloud off the field. He's an explosive athlete. You needed a linebacker.
He'll fit right in Dallas.
I'm looking at his highlights right here on the NFL Network. He's a good player, but I can't go into the season with a basically a rookie quarterback with Jalen Reagor as slated to be my number one receiver. You got your number one receiver. Chase said he's going to be a top receiver in the league for years to come. Brad, you've been overruled. And then I really don't have a beef with the Eagles draft. The trade knocks down the trade back, which was stupid, knocks down the grade. And the fact that I had to look up every player.
It was a desperation move by the Eagles. I mean, let's be honest, okay? It was the way the draft was going. And this is because Denver changed everything. I mean, when Denver went and picked a defensive player, that changed everything. That put the Eagles in a position where the Giants would have ended up getting Smith. And then the Eagles would have come away with no receivers at all.
No, they just would have had to take Parsons or they would have traded back, which would have been I would have been, not if you take Parsons, but if you don't get a receiver and you trade back and take some Mickey Mouse pick like Kwity Paye or some loser Howie typical pick. So I give the Eagles, they didn't win the draft, no, but I think they did good.
They didn't lose the draft, but they didn't. I mean, they got some prospects. I mean, Smith should be a very good player if he stays healthy. I just think he's too small, but we'll see.
And like it doesn't matter. What do you take?
About 6'1", 6'2", and weigh close to 200 pounds. I mean, you know, if they're going to be unless they're in the slot. I mean, if he winds up in the slot, I suppose it won't be that big of a deal. But you know,
he's going to line up everywhere. Chase, what do you think of Jalen Hurts? Because the Eagles are going to stink next year.
I think Jalen Hurts will be like maybe a little bit below average for a quarterback. Like he did good the first couple games he played last year. And then the last couple games he just played awful. And also like them getting Devontae Smith. And then I think if they sign like one more wide receiver out of free agency, then I think he'd be above average in the NFL. So if they sign like one good wide receiver, then I think he'll be pretty good.
All right. So like are you like me? Do you think the Eagles are gonna stink next year? Do you think there's hope for the Eagles next year?
I think probably like around 7 and 9.
Oh my God! I'm throwing a party for everyone and having a parade down Broad Street if this team wins 7 games next year.
7 and 10.
7 and 10. I'll take it. Because they're up to 12. There's up to 12 draft picks next year. 3 of them are probably going to be in the first round. They're going to have a lot of cap space.
They may have 3 first round picks.
They're going to Carson Wentz. Chase, can you tell Brad that Carson Wentz is going to kill it in Indianapolis? Or do you not think that? What do you think about Carson Wentz?
I don't think he's going to do really too much.
You don't think he's going to be good?
No, they don't have 2 good wide receivers. T.Y. Hilton's getting old. Zach Pascal isn't that good. Michael Pittman isn't very good.
You don't like Michael Pittman?
You don't like Pittman?
I like Pittman.
He's like pretty good.
I agree with you about the other two. The other two were kind of. Colts have a good offensive line, though. That's one thing he didn't have in Philadelphia. I mean, they have a real good offensive line. So he shouldn't have to be making panic passes.
And they're going to run the ball because Frank Reich has a brain between his ears schematically, which Doug didn't. Love you, Doug. Won a Super Bowl. Thanks, but you're a Stu Nod, and you can't game plan your way out of a paper bag. So, and then you have one of the best running backs there, Jonathan Taylor. We'll get to the Colts. We'll get to the Colts a little bit later. So, Chase, do you think if you had to give a grade to the Philadelphia Eagles for their draft? What do you think?
Probably like a B minus or like a C plus. Around there would probably be my grade for them.
I think that's extremely fair. I think they went too defensive line heavy in the later rounds. I do like this kid out of LSU, Jacoby Stevens. But the problem with Jacoby Stevens is he's a tweener. He's a hybrid guy. So it's a typical Howie pick. But I mean, SEC, maybe he can be our diamond in the rough along with the 3 top picks, which I like. Love Devontae Smith, love Landon Dickerson, like Milton Williams, and then Jacoby Stevens is kind of like my guy, my wild card guy. I think maybe he could be something. Let's move on to the New York Giants. They pick next. They move back. They move back with the Bears. Bears finally get their franchise quarterback. Brad, your thoughts on Kadarius Toney and what the Giants did
before I talk about Kadarius Toney, the one thing that could make the Giants draft look bad is if Fields ends up being the end-all be-all quarterback, who we clearly had a chance to draft and didn't.
Are you doing that? Are you doing that to Daniel Jones? I'm
just putting it out there that, if Justin Fields is having, ends up being the next Dan Marino, okay, then that may look bad for Gettleman. But overall, if you look at it from the heist the Giants got from the Bears for trading that pick, they end up trading down. They probably could have done better, obviously, if they picked 10. But I mean, they did the smart thing. They wanted another receiver. They weren't able to get the top 4 on the board, but they got themselves a playmaker who should be very effective with all these other weapons the Giants have picked up. And I think their offense is going to be very good. The grief everybody's been giving the Giants about their offensive line, they drafted 3 offensive linemen last year. So, I mean, and they're all starting. And they were all getting better as the season went along. They were pretty good at the end. What are they supposed to do? Start drafting offensive linemen again? How many offensive linemen can you draft? So
they should just Anthony Thomas.
I'm just hearing the criticism of some Giant fans because Giant fans are going to complain no matter who they draft.
Giants Nation doesn't seem happy. Is that accurate? You don't seem that dissatisfied, but a lot of Giants fans seem.
Giant Nation is happy with the 2nd through 7th pick. They're a little disturbed to get them traded the number 10 pick. They all seem to want Parsons, but they got a linebacker anyway. As a matter of fact, they got probably the best edge rusher out of all the players in the draft, and that was something they needed to do.
Azeez Ojulari.
He led the SEC in sacks.
He probably should have went in the first round, honestly.
I mean,
he led the SEC in sacks, and he was a 2-time captain. One of the times he was a captain, he was a freshman captain on a top 10 team, top 5 team like Georgia.
I think he was a second string All-American, wasn't he? If I'm not mistaken.
I don't have that in front of me, but he probably was. If you lead the SEC in sacks, you're probably winning something in terms of postseason awards and jewelry.
He plays linebacker, but I mean the Giants play a 3-4, which means he's going to be blitzing from the edge, and I think Gettleman did a good job with that. So I mean I don't know what the Giant fans are complaining about. They got some badly needed speed at the wide receiver position. Okay, is he going to be Jamar Chase? Probably not. he's not. But I'll tell you what, he could be. He could be like Tiki Barber, and I take that guy anytime on my team with all the other talent I have. I already have Barkley. I already have. I already signed Galladay as a free agent. I think this Giant offense, which last year couldn't get anything going all season, I think they really, really picked it up and made some very good picks. Did well in free agency. As I said, I give them an A as far as I'm concerned. I think they did everything they needed to do.
I mean, I think you got a pretty good corner as well out of Central Florida.
They also next year are going to have an extra 1 and an extra 4. So I mean, I don't know what Dave Gettleman did wrong this year, other than the fact that hey, the Eagles wanted Devontae Smith more than the Giants did, because I'm sure Dallas had an offer to the Giants too, and Gettleman didn't take it. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And Michael DeAndrea says if their best lineman is Solder, then they stink. He's not their best lineman. He's a weak link right now. So I don't think that's going to be the case. The Giants went and brought in all these new offensive linemen. I know you guys down in Philly don't watch too much of the Giants. You watch your own team, which is what I would expect. But the Giants' offensive line, particularly the second half of the season, played a lot better. I mean, if you take a look, Wayne Gallman came on and became a really good running back. And why do you think that happened? Because the offensive line picked it up. Now this year we'll have Barkley back, so that should be very good. And again, their first round draft choice, who all you guys want to keep criticizing, he can also be a running back as well. You don't want him to run the ball too often because he's not big, and he get beat up if he starts running the ball too often. But I would think that he's probably going to run the ball probably 3 to 5 times a game. Get some wildcat. What do you call it? Wildcat. The Wildcat, yeah. Right? Yeah, he'll get some wildcat shots there. I mean, but they're an offense to be very good. They're still going to rely on the run game with Saquon Barkley. I think that's going to be bread and butter. But this team has improved themselves, especially with the defensive players that they drafted. I think they did a real good job. Real happy with the Giants draft.
I mean, I get it. Look, and then look, obviously the Giants didn't like Fields. I love Fields. I don't understand why Fields didn't go second in the draft. I don't understand why Fields didn't go third in the draft. I mean, this guy he's got all the tools to be a franchise quarterback in this new NFL.
Wilson has a very high football IQ according to all the scouts.
I mean, and he's
got a lot of ability. I like Wilson. I think
God bless him. I got some good friends of mine that are Jets fans, and they have a special spot in my heart, the Jets, but they just can never seem to get it right. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm off base.
Here's the thing: if you're going to criticize Cincinnati for drafting a receiver to go along with to go for Joe Burrow, if you're going to criticize them, how can you criticize the Jets for drafting an offensive lineman when their offensive line was really bad last year?
I don't understand. I can't.
I mean, they drafted a left tackle who.
I have a problem with the trade up. I have the problem with the trade up because every smart person that I like to follow on the internet is saying that this guy is going to be a guard, Elijah Vera Tucker. I'm not trading up 8 spots for a guard. Sorry, that's stupid.
He was a left tackle.
He was a tackle in college, but he projects as a guard. The people that I think are smart on the internet, who I follow, think that he's going to be a guard. Well, now, if he can play left tackle and he starts for 10 years at left tackle, but he's not going to play left tackle, so he's got to move over to the light side because they have Mekhi Becton there. I don't know. I'm not moving up 8-9 spots for a guard. Sorry.
Well, as I said, the Jets are going to be playing him left tackle. He's
not going to be playing left tackle. They already have their left tackle and Becton. Got him last year. He's a monster.
Then it's right tackle, but they have him playing. They have him pegged they have him pegged to be a tackle. So
good luck to him.
Good luck to
him. I have more of a problem with the trade up.
The Jets also drafted a receiver in the second round. So what seems to be the issue with them? I don't get it all.
I didn't like what they did, and I didn't like what they did in the first
Why are you
round at all. I
picking
like the
them?
receiver.
I
All
think,
right,
I think they were very smart the way they went about their business.
let's reset because we're
Joe
getting off
Douglas,
track.
I thought, did a good job. But,
We're good.
we'll find out on the field.
We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, and Instagram. If you miss anything here, download us, podcast form. Listen to us anytime you want. Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Takeover Talk. Everywhere you look, A2D is coming at you. And our poll question, our draft discussion is also brought to you by Philly Drinkers LLC. Get some gear, phillydrinkers.com, A2D radio collection. Get warm out. Get your golf polos, get your hats, get your board shorts, get your sunglasses, get your tumblers, get the beverage of your choice. Keep it cold by the pool this summer. phillydrinkers.com, A2D radio collection. Chase, what do you think about the Giants draft? I think Brett.
I think they did like okay. Like drafting a wide receiver isn't like the worst position they need.
Well, they drafted a cornerback at third, who projects to be actually playing against all the slot guys, and the guy flat out fly. So I think they did a good job third slot too.
Go ahead, Chase.
I'd say they like was Kadarius Toney, I think, was it?
Yes.
Yeah, he's the first round pick.
Yeah. I'm trying to find their second round pick and see if they.
The second round pick was the pass rusher from Georgia.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that. I think he was pretty good. He was like, I was watching it. He was like top of the board, like best. Like he was like the best linebacker. It was like second to best or best. In for linebackers that didn't get picked in the first round. So I think they got him. I think he fell to them because I think if I were like the Dolphins, I would have probably picked a linebacker, and they got a linebacker. So I think they did pretty good for the first two rounds.
All right, so that's the Giants. Giants, I give them a solid B.
Yeah, I give them
a solid B plus. They had a good draft. I mean, we'll see with the first round because you pass up on a higher rated guy in terms of pass rusher to pick a gadget. Like Chase said, Azeez Ojulari, pretty good second round pick, and then you get a corner in the third round. So we'll see. Do you think Daniel Jones can play, Chase?
As long as he doesn't trip, then yeah.
Daniel Jones has no excuses this year.
No.
Either he grabs the bull by the horns and becomes a franchise quarterback, or he's out of here. And next year we have 2 first-round picks. If Daniel Jones can't do the job, we could trade one of them and try to secure a high pick and make sure that we're in good shape with quarterbacks. But
you're going to be in an arms race.
I am very, very pleased with what the Giants did. I think that they will win the division. Probably looking at around 10-7. I don't think any team in the NFC East is elite by any stretch of the imagination. No. I think the Giants should be 10-7. I'm looking for Dallas to be 9-8, and the Eagles. I mean, it depends. It really depends on health. These guys got to stay healthy. If Rager and Smith both play 17 games, okay, the Eagles could be right in the mix. I just don't know though.
I don't. If the Eagles win 2 games, more than 2 games next year, I'll be happy. Because I'm not unless Jalen Hurts is Russell Wilson out of nowhere, which I don't think he is. I don't think Jalen Hurts is a franchise quarterback. Rooting for him because I'm an Eagles fan, but I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. and he's going to get at least 2 to 3 years to figure out if he's a franchise quarterback.
Oh, I think he gets one. I think he gets this year to prove that he.
Because he's got to bend over a barrel because they gave up Wentz for this guy. Like, you know what makes me so mad? You know what makes me so mad, Brad? Is if I'm teaming up Devontae Smith with Carson Wentz, my excitement level for Week 1 is through the roof. Through the roof.
You're going to have three. You have probably three first round picks next year if Wentz doesn't spit the bit in Indianapolis.
Even then, you get a 2. Even then, it's a 2, right?
Yeah, right. Well, what I'm saying is, though, you have enough draft capital that you can move up in the draft and draft another quarterback if that's what you have to do. That's all I'm saying.
I get that. And you have 3 first round, and if Jalen Hurts proves you can play, then you can get your offensive line settled out. You can maybe get another playmaker in here because I don't like Miles Sanders at all. Everyone knows that. And then you kind of start to rebuild the defense a little bit.
He can be a good player, but again, he's another one that gets hurt a lot and he fumbles. And I've never been a guy who likes getting guys who are always getting hurt. I can't stand people who fumble all the time. Although my favorite Giant offensive player in history fumbled a lot early in his career, Tiki Barber. He got that problem straightened out when the Giants got themselves a real coach. So we'll see if you got this coach that you have, if he can straighten things out with Miles Sanders as far as fumbling the ball. You know, why not Miles Sanders improve?
I don't like his running style. You drafted a running back in the fourth. Yeah, you have that Keith Barnwell guy out of Memphis. I know Chucks, who studies running backs a lot. He likes him, and a couple of other people on the internet say they like him. Cool. Go in there.
Listen, Rob,
it shouldn't be that hard to take Boston Scott's job. I'll tell you that because he stinks.
You never know. You never know with running backs. I mean, who's the guy that played for the Redskins that played for the Giants last year? Can't remember his name. The running back was really good with the Giants.
Oh, with Big Alfred Morris?
Yeah, Alfred Morris. Yeah. He was a 6th round pick.
I hear you.
He was a 6th round pick, and I'll tell you what, when he came up, he got worn down by the time he's with the Giants. I mean, he's a shell of himself now, but I mean, when he was with the Redskins, he had like 4 or 5 really good years there.
Chase, what do you think? Is Jalen Hurts going to be – is he the answer? Is he a franchise quarterback? Can he be like a steady 10-year guy like you guys have been fortunate in Pittsburgh with Big Ben? Can he bring me stability? Is he a franchise quarterback?
I don't really think so. Like, if they pick up, like, really good young wide receivers, they somehow, like, pull off a trade for, like, a really young wide receiver that's pretty good, then I think he would. I think he just needs better wide receivers to be a better quarterback. But right now, he's not going to make the playoffs. Maybe if they keep him for 10 years, then he'll make the playoffs one time.
One time in 10 years, that means he's not a franchise quarterback.
He won't get 10 years if he only.
He won't get 10 years. Yeah. So it sounds like Chase doesn't really. What about Daniel Jones, Chase?
I wouldn't think he's a franchise quarterback either. I think they both need a draft quarterback. Steelers need another quarterback.
Now, what do you think about Justin Fields? Because you don't think Daniel Jones is a franchise quarterback, and you don't think Jalen Hurts is a franchise quarterback. The Eagles and the Giants passed on Justin Fields. Was that dumb?
Yeah, like they figured out he had like this thing with like his health or something about something like where he'd get seizures or something. They figured out that happened like a week ago. So his draft stock went down a little. And I still think they should have picked him. I don't think they should have just passed on a pretty good quarterback like that.
But the fans here in Philadelphia, Chase, they're pretty passionate people, myself being one of them. And if they picked a quarterback, they would have been really upset.
All hell would have broke loose if they picked a quarterback. The Eagles, unfortunately, I mean, if Howie was gone and there was a new administration, okay, then I could have seen them picking a quarterback. But Howie painted himself in a corner by doing what he did
Yeah.
with Hurts last year. So he almost has to go to Hurts this year. I see Hurts. The problem with Hurts, he could end up being the next Geno Smith, or he could end up being Russell Wilson. We don't know that yet.
There's only one. There's only one. He's not going to be Russell Wilson.
But this is the kind of thing that you're looking at with her. He easily could be the next Geno Smith, though. He has a lot of Geno Smith.
Look, Tom Arnone has hit the nail right on the head with Jalen Smith, in my opinion. Me and Tom don't agree on anything except the Sixers and Jalen Hurts. Is Jalen Hurts going to be able to stand in the pocket 15, 20, 25 times a game and make 20, 17 of those throws to establish himself as a franchise quarterback? That's all the throws. That's the deep throws. That's the short throws. That's the intermediate throws. That's the across the hash throws. Everything. And my answer is no.
Not if they don't have a running game, Rob. They have to have a running game.
Forget about it. Jalen Hurts, I don't think, is good enough as a passer to stand in the pocket 20 to 25 times a game and rip it the way you got to rip it to win games as a franchise quarterback in this league. I don't see it. But he has a better chance now with Devontae Smith. Everyone on the panel agrees that the Eagles hit a home run with that. Let's get to Chase's Steelers. Because the Steelers made one of my favorite picks in the whole first round. 24th overall pick. You get a big-time running back out of Alabama, Najee Harris. The Steelers couldn't run the ball worth a lick last year. That's got to be that's got to be a good pick. That's a thumbs up pick. Got to be a good pick, Chase, right?
Yeah, it's a good because I think we only had 5 rushing touchdowns or something last year, and Najee Harris is gonna score more than 5. I'd say he might be offensive rookie of the year if Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Justin Fields don't play very good. For positions not a QB,
Right.
he might be one of the best. He might be the best rookie.
So let me here. I just had the Steelers picks up. Look at the stinky Giants picks. Then what do you think about the rest of the draft? I mean, you get that Freiermuth, tight end out of Penn State. That's not a bad pick. And then you get Kendrick Green, a guard out of Illinois. And not a bad haul. The only beef I have with this the Steelers draft is that they didn't really get an edge rusher to replace Bud Dupree, who leaves in free agency to the Tennessee Titans.
I think they would have. I think they would have had the Giants not made their pick in the second round.
Yeah, but I mean, I know you get a Najee Harris, a good running back. I mean, Chase just said they had big problems running the football last year. 5 rushing touchdowns. I mean, that's not very many rushing touchdowns. That's kind of bad.
Well, being that James Conner is now a Cardinal, you're not going to get anything out of him. So
I mean, Najee Harris is a big upgrade over James Conner, don't you think, Chase?
Yeah, he can run at the goal line. He can get I think he had 250 yards in a game this year.
Yeah,
or last year.
And he can catch the ball as well.
Mhm.
Dynamic player. So obviously, the Steelers, they're in a pretty tough division, Chase. You got the Ravens, who have Lamar Jackson, and they're always pretty good. And then, you got eliminated. What was it, 45-38 to the Cleveland Browns, the division rival.
It was 48-37, I think.
48-37. So do you think the Steelers did enough to, compete better against the Ravens and the Browns?
Well, they really went for offense, though.
Probably just to not dance on logos.
Yeah. So, if you were to rank the division, the AFC North, who do you think is the best team in that division after the draft?
After the draft, I would probably go with the Browns. They had a really good draft. And the Steelers and the Ravens would be on the same level. They both got the player or the position they wanted in the first round. Ravens getting a wide receiver, and then the Steelers getting a running back. And then the Bengals probably last, even though I think the Bengals will go 7-10. Steelers will probably go 11-6.
I think if Cincinnati goes 7-10,
11-6,
celebrate.
Yeah. And
I think the Bengals were the biggest losers of the whole draft. I think they were the biggest. I don't understand how you can pass on Penei Sewell and take a receiver when you're at the top of the draft because your franchise quarterback got hurt because you don't have a starting left tackle, and your offensive line is just not good. So I think 7 wins for the Browns the Bengals is extremely generous from Chase. They're going to be back in the top 5 again next year, like they are every year, because it's the Bengals. To some comments here in a second. Fly them in. If you haven't done so already, YouTube, close out that chat, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications on.
Made some nice picks.
Yeah, but I have to factor in the fact that they trade their starting left tackle, whatever Orlando Brown played, to their biggest rival in the AFC. That has to go into their draft grade.
That I didn't really understand, but
completely
supposedly they have somebody that they thought can replace him. So, but
they take Jackson Carman out of Clemson in the second round. I mean, okay, it's a Clemson guy, but Penei Sewell is just a cut above Jackson Carman, and then they get Joseph Asai, an edge rusher out of Texas. So I mean, maybe he'll be good, maybe he's not. It's eye-opening to me when these guys with such great size and speed from these big-time programs go in the 3rd and 4th round. It makes me think that there's a reason that they're a little bit of a crumb. Maybe they got some baby daddy issues. Maybe they knock around their girlfriend. They use drugs, whatever it may be. So I mean, we'll see what happens there. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button.
They drafted.
Who, the Bengals?
No,
which one? The one
Ravens. The Ravens, the guy from Penn State.
Oh, that's a terrible pick. He had no sacks last year in the Big Ten. He had no sacks. Chase,
he's a 31st pick, and he's going to fit in their scheme pretty well. How
do you fit into any NFL scheme as an edge rusher when you have 0 sacks in the Big Ten? He had 0 sacks last year.
Maybe if he had a lot of QB hits or forced fumble or forced pressure and stuff, then maybe it wouldn't be that bad. But
analytics nonsense, that is, Chase.
Probably not.
Analytics nonsense, that is. But Chase, if you can't close and sack the quarterback at college, how am I supposed to use a 1st-round pick on you in the NFL and expect you to finish and get to the quarterback and get sacks there? It's like these pitchers, like Sixto Sanchez. Everyone wants to anoint Sixto Sanchez as the next Cy Young. You let it play out. I said, relax on Sixto Sanchez. He had arm troubles at 18. He had arm troubles at 20. And look at that. He goes to the Marlins. What's he got? He hasn't even picked up a baseball in a game this year. Nope. Guess what? He's got arm troubles again. So
they're not expecting him to be back
in college. How am I supposed to expect you to do it in the NFL? It's crazy.
They're not expecting him to be back till June. But this guy also had a high pressure rate. And you know who else had a very high pressure rate? It ended up being really good, even though he had very few sacks. Leonard Williams on the Giants. So I look at it. If the guy's almost getting there, maybe it could be the scheme he was playing. I don't know, but you know what?
But Brad, if he got a lot of sacks in college and then he had those problems in the pros, that's understandable. That's a narrative I can understand and make excuses for, because you're really good in college and you couldn't get yourself over the top to be an elite pro. That happens all the time, and there's no shame in that. You need all kinds of pass rushers. The team rotate them in and out. That's fine. But if you can't finish in college, how are you supposed to finish in the NFL?
Sometimes you can, Rob. with their defense though, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy gets a lot of sacks. I just wouldn't be. I mean, with the Ravens, I mean, let's see. So who else did they take? They took an offensive lineman from Georgia.
I think the Steelers might have jumped. I think the Steelers might have jumped the Ravens.
Well, I mean, we'll see about that. I don't know. That's my worry with the Steelers.
We're gonna do
is the quarterback right now. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I'm crazy about Roethlisberger coming back. I mean, is Chase? Are you thrilled about him coming back, or would you like to see them move on from him?
I wanted at first them to take a QB. Then they signed Dwayne Haskins and re-signed Big Ben. And I knew they were gonna wait one more year and then another year after that. And they keep. I feel like they keep stalling to take a quarterback. Like Big Ben's like 38. He can't. He's not in his prime. He's like 10 years past his prime. He hasn't been to the Super Bowl since 2010. I just don't think he can take us to like a Super Bowl.
I still think he's good. Don't you think he's good enough though? Don't you think he's going to be good enough with those great receivers? I know Chase Claypool. He's your boy. We were talking about it before the show. You got him. You got Deontay Johnson, and you got Juju. He's still on your team, right?
Yeah, he is.
That's right. He turned down all that money like a dope to stay in Pittsburgh, like an idiot.
Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Baltimore here to decide to from. That's what I think it was.
But I mean, Chase Claypool. I mean, he's only going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Deontay Johnson's pretty good. I mean, he can be okay. I think Big Ben with those receivers. They always seem to have a good defense, and now they'll be able to run the ball.
Can he stay healthy?
Well, now that he doesn't have to throw the ball 45 times a game because they got Najee Harris, I think it'll be easy for him.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully for them that will be the case. I mean, it's going to be interesting. They were 11-0 at one point, and then it just seemed like that after they got beaten that Washington game, everything seemed to just go sideways for them.
Big Play Slay's in the house. Thanks for checking in. Tommy Arnone's in the house. Thanks for checking in. Daniel Luna's in the house. Chad Cheryl. Fly Eagles Fly. Big Play Slay winners. Eagles, Giants, and Browns. I would have to rank everybody. I think the Eagles did okay. I think the Giants did okay, and then the Browns. The Browns are just really good. They're just really good. They're going to make a run. I think the Browns are going to make a run this year. And then he has losers being the Seahawks, the Raiders, and the Packers.
And the Saints.
The Saints lost.
The Saints did not have a good draft by all accounts.
What did they do? I gotta bring them up.
Yeah, from all accounts, they're big losers in the draft.
They took a D end out of Houston in the first round. Peyton Turner,
never heard of him. But then you get a linebacker from Ohio State, and then you get that corner, Paulson Adibu, cornerback out of Stanford. You draft a quarterback out of Notre Dame. I don't know. They like those gadget receiver quarterbacks. And then I don't know anything about Landon Young or Kawhi Baker. But I don't know. Sean Payton, they know what they're doing down there. I think they should give that Peyton Turner.
They do. They always seem. You just wonder, though, Rob, without Drew Brees, what kind of team they're going to have.
Yeah. I mean, it's a devastating. But Father Time's undefeated. Like, he's not going to play forever. So this day was coming.
And he obviously had a pretty poor game against Green Bay. So and at his age, it's time to go. He can't throw a deep ball anymore. So, it was time for him.
And then the Raiders and the Packers. I thought the Raiders did okay. I wouldn't put them as losers. They're like kind of in the middle, like middle ground, like the Eagles are.
Terrible pick in the first round, though.
Are you sure?
That's what everybody's saying.
I don't think it was that bad. Alex
Yeah,
Leatherwood,
yeah,
offensive look, all John Gruden does is wants to pound the rock. He's got Josh Jacobs. He's running him into the ground early in his career. Look at his history with Cadillac Williams. Cadillac Williams ran for 4 years under John Gruden. He had so many carries, he fell apart before his 26th birthday and was out of the league. John Gruden wants to run the football. And
no, I understand
football.
that, but Rob, the problem with the Raiders is that they have no defense, and they should have been drafting defensive players. I mean
they don't have a.
They scored
They don't
plenty
have
of
a quarterback either. Beat Derek Carr.
Derek Carr had a good year last year.
He's a stiff. Chase, what do you think about Derek Carr?
I think he'd be like probably like average in the league, like a little under 4,000 passing yards, like 20 touchdowns. I think like that would be around him. If they can put like Henry Ruggs as their first receiver, then he'll develop a lot and he'll be pretty good. And I think they still have Tyrell Williams.
They have Waller, the tight. They should be able to put like Waller's a good tight end.
But we agree that they're having, but their problem last season was their defense.
And they take a safety. They take a safety at 43. He won the Jim Thorpe Award as the nation's best defensive back. Trayvon Moehrig out of TCU. Malcolm.
Yeah, but TCU.
Malcolm Moss out of Buffalo. I've heard of him, so that's pretty good. Then you have the 80th pick too. They get a safety out of Virginia Tech. They take a safety. They went all secondary. A linebacker. Their only offensive pick was the first pick, Leatherwood, and they took a center in the 7th round. Everything else was secondary.
Okay.
With the exception of one linebacker. It's a middle ground draft. Like I wouldn't call them losers, like big play say. And the Seahawks, what are the Seahawks supposed to do? They're still paying the price for Jamal Adams. So, when you don't pick until the 2nd round, it's kind of hard to win the draft. And the Packers need to get Aaron Rodgers happy, because if Aaron Rodgers isn't happy, that division might be like the NFC East was next year. There won't be very many good teams at all.
No, you're right. That division could end up being the worst division in the league next year.
Because if Rodgers isn't there, because the East got better, every team got better. Some teams got better than others. But Mike McFly, he's checking in on YouTube. Hopefully Mike turned on his notifications just like you should. Hit that like button. Hit the dislike button. If you think we stink and don't know what we're talking about, hit the dislike button. And then tell us why we stink in the chat so we can go back and forth and have fun. Mike McFly, Dickerson was a great pick. All those injuries, and he still started 37 games, and he's doing freaking cartwheels at the pro day. He's a freak. Yes, I think Dickerson is going to prove to be a great pick. Christopher Glover. Dickerson has had 4 surgeries in 6 years. 6 foot 170 for Devontae Smith. Mike McFly. Devontae Smith ain't 6 foot. I like to pick the death, but he ain't 6 foot. Big play Slay. Dickerson, absolute mauler. He's a freak of nature. He's athletic. These injuries scare me, but he's not going to back down from a competition. He's 6'5" and can play center and maybe guard. I think you settle him in a guard. I really do. I think you start. I think Samalu can shift to the bench. He can be a reserve. I think you start Dillard. You got Dillard at left tackle. I got to see what I got in Dillard. He's a 1st-round pick. Then Dickerson, then Kelsey, then Brooks, then Lane Johnson. And then you can move them around based on Kelsey, Brooks, Lane Johnson. All these guys are getting old, so it was smart to rebuild the trenches. He played 4 years in the SEC. He's been playing pros, and he's been playing pros. Yeah, SEC guys all day. Alabama, first 2 picks, Alabama. It's like how he finally turned on the tube. Finally turned on CBS at 3:30 in the afternoon on Saturday. Checked out the SEC game of the week and realized, hey, these guys are way better than these guys on the West Coast that I always draft. So at least I saw growth in Howie Roseman. Garrett has no idea what to do with Tony. Get real. I mean, Jason Garrett, pretty good offensive coordinator. He could be my offensive coordinator any day. Can't be my head coach. Not a head coach. But there's way worse offensive coordinators in the league. Big play Slade. Devontae Smith, natural route runner, great release off the line. He's versatile. He has vertical deep threat potential. He can play the X, the Y, and the slot. He's athletic, contested catch guy, playmaker. Couldn't agree more. A number one receiver for my development quarterback. Jay Friel, what's up, fellas? I won't say the Eagles won the draft, but by any means, but they did good this year. Yeah, they're middle of the pack. Dylan Popoff, he doesn't think Devontae Smith will be the return guy. They'll use Rager or Gainwell. Good, they should use Rager. It's the only thing I'm confident that Rager can do well because he returned one punt in Lambeau Field for a touchdown, got him right back in the game. And he didn't go back there the whole rest of the season. I don't understand. Don 19. Cleveland Browns won the draft. I know they took Newsome, quarterback out of Northwestern in the first round. They're getting a lot of love. Let me bring up their draft.
Let's bring
Newsome, quarterback. They get the linebacker Jeremiah Owusu Karama in the second round. I don't know about that guy. They do play a 3-4 over there, so maybe they can make it work with him, but I don't know. I think he's 216 pounds. You're asking to play linebacker in the NFL. I think he's too small, and I don't know if he can play safety. 6'4", 216 pounds. You get a guard out of Cincinnati. You get some trench guys. Yeah, I guess the Browns did okay. I think the Browns are primed for a Super Bowl run next year. They're going to be right there with the Colts and the Chiefs in the AFC.
And don't forget Buffalo.
I don't know. I think Cleveland is better than Buffalo, and I think that the Colts are better than Buffalo now.
Oh, I don't know about that.
The Colts almost beat the Bills in Buffalo with Phillip Rivers. Carson Wentz is going to have a way better season this year than Phillip Rivers had last season.
Phillip Rivers had a good game against Buffalo, though.
He did. Phillip Rivers, good quarterback.
He played well. He played well against Buffalo.
Mike McFly, he thinks Kadarius Toney was a reach. I kind of agree with him.
Would he have been there in the second round if the Giants waited? No. So I don't know.
I mean, I just would have went pass rush. Then.
But they addressed pass rush.
They did. Look, it worked out.
I mean, not only that, but they got some speed who could play wide receiver and running back, and they ended up getting an extra first round pick next year and an extra fifth round pick next year. And I believe when they traded back in the second round, they got a fourth round pick, if I'm not mistaken. So they actually got a first, a fourth, and a fifth next year. Yeah, and I think that first round pick
they got good value.
Between 14, it's probably going to be between 13 or 14 and 16 with the Bears. I think the Bears are going to be.
I'm starting Fields. I'm starting Fields week 1. Week 1, I'm starting Justin Fields. I'm not playing Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton stinks.
They only should play Andy Dalton if they don't think Fields is ready to go out there yet.
Throw him in there. Trial by fire. What do you think about that? Should the Bears start Justin Fields week 1?
Yeah, I think through training camp they can see if he's good or not, or if Andy Dalton needs to start. But I think, like, I'd start him because Andy Dalton's not going to do anything. Mitchell Trubisky, if they still have him,
Nah,
probably
he's
not
on
going to
Buffalo.
be.
He's
he's
on
on
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
He's their backup.
I think Nick Foles is still there.
He is. You're correct.
Yeah.
And I don't really think he's going to do good either.
I'd rather start Nick Foles than Andy Dalton.
So would I, actually. But I mean,
I'm not-
Foles didn't play well in. Foles just didn't play well in Chicago for whatever
I mean,
reason.
Foles isn't good. That's why.
He only plays well when he's with the Eagles, Rob.
Yeah, and
During his career.
he caught lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, but he did it twice with the Eagles. The one year he had 27 TDs and two interceptions. I mean, it happened twice. It didn't happen just once. I mean, whatever it is about Philadelphia, he I don't know if it's the food or the water or whatever it is. He played real well in Philadelphia for whatever reason.
Mark Schmeckel, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. League caters to offense these days. You don't see any more headhunter safeties anymore, and defenders are scared to hit fearing a flag. I think the kid will be fine. That's a great pick concerning addressing the concerns that some fans have about Devontae Smith's size. I mean, you say he's going to get knocked out when he runs over the middle. I mean, maybe not, but that's going to be a 15-yard penalty for the Eagles. Any form tackle that is even a little bit questionable is getting flagged. And
This
it's
is
15
true,
yards.
but he's got a similar body type to Deshaun Jackson. So Deshaun Jackson was always getting crushed when he went down the middle. He ended up being a one-trick pony in his career. That's just what I think could end up happening with Smith. He's got to be able to prove he can. If he can go down the middle and hit, then he'll be then everything will be fine. But that's going to be the key.
I know, but Brett, Devontae Smith is a way better receiving prospect than Deshaun Jackson was coming out of Cal. Deshaun Jackson wasn't a first-round pick. Deshaun Jackson didn't win the Heisman. Deshaun Jackson cannot run the full complement of routes. He's a burner. He's going to run straight, or he's going to get the ball as a punt returner and make something happen. Devontae Smith can do all that, what Deshaun Jackson does, plus he can get open. He can run all the routes. He's got great hands. So, I mean, I don't really think that's a fair comparison. Devontae Smith is a world-class prospect compared to what Deshaun Jackson was coming out of Cal.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
Plus, Deshaun Jackson, he a little bit of a pain in the ass, a little bit of a jerk off. Probably the reason we wasn't a first-round pick coming out of Cal is because
it's just about their bodies, Rob. I'm not talking about the other stuff. He's built a lot like Deshaun Jackson. He goes down the middle.
But I'll take the better prospect with the better attitude all day.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, I mean, this isn't an indictment whether you should take Smith or Devontae Smith or Deshaun Jackson. I mean, obviously, right now you'd much rather have Devontae Smith, but I'm just saying there's a reason why he didn't go. He wasn't able to go down the middle. He did a couple of times, and he almost got killed, and that could happen with Devontae Smith. He's not a real big guy. He's pretty slender. You know, if he puts on a little weight and I'm talking muscle weight, you know, without giving up some speed, then he'll be okay. He's short and he's pretty slim. I don't know.
Victoria Taylor for Chase. How many years is Big Ben past his prime? That's from Victoria Taylor.
I'd probably think around 8 years.
8
past
years
his prime. That was the last time, we made the playoffs like a lot of times, but I think he hasn't been the same since then. Like, very, very good.
Here's a good question because it applies to Daniel Jones as well. What kind of season do you think Hurts has to have to be considered the guy? What's the bar? What do we have to see from Jalen Hurts for me to be confident that Jalen Hurts is the guy? I need to see like 3,500 yards passing. I need to see intelligent decisions from a football IQ standpoint, and I need him to stop. I'm confident he won't throw interceptions. I think he is smart enough to learn how to read coverages and realize what he got away with in college. Sometimes that's not going to fly in the NFL, and he's got to stop fumbling. He can't fumble, and he's got to do more as a passer than just make big splash plays down the field, which I've seen he can do. So I don't know. It's kind of
he can also run a little bit too, which helps.
he'll get his rushing yards.
Yes,
And then
will.
Daniel Jones. If the Giants don't make the playoffs, then you got to get a new quarterback.
I agree.
Because you got 7 teams. You got 7 teams with an extra game. And look, I would give Dallas the slight edge in the East right now, just because they have Dak, and he's the best quarterback, and it's a quarterback league. But the Giants could sneak up. I really liked what I saw from the Giants. So, but if the Giants don't win the East,
Giants defense is a lot better than Dallas's defense.
A lot better.
A lot better.
Absolutely agree.
Cowboys offense last year was a lot better than the Giants until Dak got hurt.
But yeah, if Daniel Jones, with all this around him now, if he can't be a top 7 team in the NFC and make the playoffs,
he's got to go. Listen, he's even got Saquon Barkley back.
Yeah,
I mean, and then he's got our first round pick. He can hand the ball off to. I mean, the Giants have a lot of guys now. They also signed another speedster, Ross. I mean, they've got a lot of weapons now. No excuses anymore for Daniel Jones. If he can't win at least 10 games this year, he's got to go. I mean,
Patty Higgins, Werland. Fields did not go high because Ohio State does not run a pro-style offense, and not one of their QB has had success in the NFL. I mean, I have so many problems with that comment. I couldn't disagree more. That's so stupid to grade Justin Fields against other quarterbacks from Ohio State. Number 2, Ohio State had Woody Hayes and just ran the ball every play and played defense and ran a college-based offense. Under Urban Meyer and now Ryan Day, they run the spread, which more and more of the spread comes into the NFL each and every year. He's a dual threat guy. I can't penalize Justin Fields because Art Schlichter was a scumbag gambler who didn't work out in the pros. There's nothing to do with Justin Fields. I think the Bears got themselves a franchise quarterback. They paid the price, so he better be a franchise quarterback. I think the Bears got their guy. And I think Nagy and Ryan Pace, their GM there, have saved their jobs by the skin of their teeth.
Commenting about William Middlebrook. If Washington's a lot better than the Giants, why did they lose both games last year against the Giants? I'll stop and wait for your comment. Washington's offense stunk last year. They caught a little lightning in the bottle with Alex Smith, even though he couldn't move. But bottom line was, the Giants, unfortunately for them, they also lost Daniel Jones for 3 games, and they ended up shocking Seattle in one of them. But then they lost the other 2. Washington's defense and the Giants' defense are about the same, by the way, Mr. Middlebrook. And the Giants always seem to score a lot of points against Washington. So I disagree with you. As I said, had the Eagles not lied down the last game of the season, they wouldn't have even won the division. I mean, the Eagles, with all the garbage that they had on the field after 3 quarters, when Jalen Hurts was in the game, that game was 14-14. They couldn't even beat the Eagles. And had the Eagles actually tried in the 4th quarter, they probably would have won that game. So sorry, I don't agree with you.
I think the Giants and the Cowboys are better than Washington. And I think Washington's 3rd, and I think that the Eagles are 4th by a mile. Would you agree with that, Chase?
I'd say the Giants and Washington are on like the same level. I think the Giants have the better offense. Washington has a better defense. Um, so I'd say they both win one game against each other, and they both have the same record, around like 9-8 or 8-9.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I don't think there's going to be many. I don't think anyone's going to run away with the East.
No, nobody's good enough yet to run away.
I guess if Dak just has a stellar season with those weapons, they could outscore everybody. It's like Dallas would have won the division by about 5 or 6 games last year if Dak Prescott was healthy.
Keep in mind that they were also 1-3 when Dak went down.
So they were, but with the trash that was the NFC East last year, if Dak Prescott was healthy for the whole season, I'm pretty confident.
Washington scored at will against Dallas in both those games.
Yeah, but Brad, it's a different psyche. It changes the whole psyche of the team. That defense went out there. It went out there every play and was like, we got to be perfect because Bradley Gilbert or whatever his name was, and Ben DiNucci and Andy Dalton, they stink. If we let up one touchdown, we're going to lose. Now they got some breathing room.
I will give them a lot.
We're not good.
They went out and they drafted defense. They knew what they had to do, and they did exactly what they needed to do. And good for them. They were able to do that. So if these guys perform, they're going to be tough to beat.
What do you think of it? So, Chase, what do you think of that? Do you think the Giants and the Washington football team, do you think they're better than Dallas? What are your NFC East power rankings?
I'd say Dallas would be around 10-7, 11-6. Giants 9-8, Washington 8-9, and then probably Philly at like 6-12 or 6-11.
6-11.
That's pretty accurate.
That's fair. That's
not an unfair opinion. I think that's pretty close.
Logic, karma. If Hurts doesn't work out, you got 3 first-round picks next year to move up and get your guy. Worst case. I mean, I want Hurts to be good so I can use those 3 picks, and then I think they're up to 12 draft picks now in next year's draft. You need Hurts to be the guy. Hurts being the guy would totally accelerate this rebuild process for the Philadelphia Eagles. Steelers 12 wins, Browns 11 wins, Ravens 10 wins, Bengals 5 wins. That's Steelers fan 1.
I'll tell you what, that's a brutal division.
Anthony, that's probably the best I don't know what's because the NFC West is loaded and the AFC North is loaded.
Yeah, that AFC North, those first 3 teams could win any other division. My opinion, other than maybe Kansas City, but I mean the other divisions, would be up.
All right, Don 19, Chase. He listens to our show every week. He's from Detroit. He's a big Lions fan. I love what the Lions did. You get the best left tackle in the whole draft at pick 7. That and alone is a great haul right there. And I know you downgraded quarterback to Jared Goff, but maybe Jared Goff can keep the train on the tracks. You got DeAndre Swift up there. The only problem is they lost all their weapons. So I'm bringing up their.
Galladay.
I mean, they lost Galladay after Game 5 last year, so they.
Where did it? Yeah, but Kenny Galladay. I think Kenny Galladay is a really good player. I think that's a great signing by the New York Giants. You got Penei Sewell. You got an interior lineman from Washington who everyone seems to like. The quarterback from Syracuse that they got is a guy that I had on my radar for the Eagles. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, but I think he can play. So, they build up their trenches. They build up their trenches, and I would imagine that they're going to be using DeAndre Swift a lot with new head coach Dan Campbell. Look, I mean, Jared Goff, I mean, I don't think he's really a franchise quarterback. So, you make the trade. You're doing a little bit of a rebuild.
But maybe with Jared Goff, just maybe a change of scenery is what he needed.
I mean, I don't know. You go from
Some
one of the best.
Some quarterbacks just need a change of scenery. It can't happen. Let's see what happens. The same thing applies to Sam Darnold. Let's see what happens with him in Carolina.
I think the Lions are better. I think the Lions will win more games than the Eagles next year. I don't think the Lions are going to make the playoffs unless Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back to Green Bay. Then I think that's anyone's ball game in the NFC North. But I'm going to go ahead and assume that Aaron Rodgers is going to be in Green Bay one way or the other next year.
He will. I have to say, believe it.
I think you ride it out 1 year of bad, and then you get up, you have another good offseason, another good draft, then you're maybe ready to make a run at the playoffs if you're the Lions. But I would be enthused. I mean, you get the best offensive lineman in the draft by a country mile at 7. I mean, that's a win right there. All right, let's get to some losers. Chase, who made the worst pick of the first round?
Probably, I'd say the Raiders might have. Like, they were saying he was, second, third round talent, something like that. And they got him at pick 16, and there's other, O-line on the board, like Tevin Jenkins and a couple other guys that I think were better than him.
Leatherwood.
Yeah.
I look at the Bengals at 5. I don't like, and it's not that I think Jamar Chase is a beast, but I mean, you got it. You have T. Higgins. You have, what's the guy's name? Chase, the other guy, not AJ Green. He went to the Cardinals. Yeah. Tyler Boyd from Pittsburgh. He's pretty good. So you have some weapons there. But you lose your quarterback because you can't keep him upright. So I didn't like picking Jamar Chase at 5, not because I think Jamar Chase is a bad player. It's a no-brainer to pick the best left tackle in the draft. I didn't like what Miami did at 6. Although I do think Jalen Waddle is a better prospect than Devontae Smith, and I would take Jalen Waddle over Devontae Smith. I'm not taking Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle at 6. That's what the Dolphins did. Again, I don't understand how you can pass on the best left tackle in the draft after the 2 premier pass catchers are gone. Look, you have Pitts, you have Chase. They're a cut above Smith and Waddle. And then you have guys like Surtain and Sewell in the middle there. Some people think Parsons is in that group. So I didn't like those 2 picks at all. And then I'm looking at the Jets draft, and they did do some things. They picked Michael Carter in the 3rd round out of UNC, a running back who I like a lot. They pick Elijah Moore, a receiver out of Ole Miss. That's who the Giants should have taken at 20, by the way. If they took Elijah Moore, I just think he's a better all-around receiver than Kadarius Toney. I think I'm singing a whole different tune about the New York Giants draft. Then it's an A triple plus draft. You take Elijah Moore at 20. But I think Gettleman knows what he's doing. I think he's a pretty good football guy. We'll see how Daniel Jones works out. But there's way worse GMs in the league.
It's all on Daniel Jones at this point. He's got the weapons. I thought Leatherwood from Oakland. I'm sorry, from the Las Vegas Raiders was the screw up of the draft. I think they could have done better at 18.
And then just getting back to the Jets on why I'm critical of them, I don't understand how you can watch college football and evaluate these guys and feel confident that Zach Wilson is a better guy to give the keys to your franchise to.
What about
I'm
Trey
giving the
Lance?
keys. No, I'm not. I'm giving those keys at 2 to Justin Fields, or I'm keeping Darnold, and taking Penei Sewell, or Jamar Chase, or Kyle Pitts.
Well, they have a new coach, and Joe Douglas wants a new quarterback. He does not want anybody from the old administration in there.
I understand that. I just think they picked the wrong quarterback. I think they picked the wrong quarterback, and I feel very strongly that they picked the wrong quarterback. And then to trade up, 8 spots to pick a guard, someone who's probably going to play guard in the NFL, I don't like that trade up at all. I don't like it.
They're trying to build their offensive line, which was probably next to Cincinnati, the worst one in the league.
I get it. But the Jets aren't very good. Do we agree on that? The Jets aren't very good.
No, they
have a lot of holes.
They've got to build their offensive line. Their offensive line.
I'm not giving up picks. I'm not giving up picks to move up 8 spots for a guard when I have holes all over the place. That's me. Now, like I said, I like Moore. I like Carter. I think those were 2 really good picks. So that redeemed them a little bit, but I don't understand. I don't understand the Wilson.
They wanted to bring in an offensive lineman and a quarterback. So I don't know how you could be critical of a team that desperately needed to get an offensive line to protect their new quarterback, because that's what they're doing. That's what, in essence, they're doing at this point. So, and then they drafted a receiver in the 2nd round. So, I mean, they've done what they've had to do in the first with their first 3 picks to try to improve the team. I mean, if they're wrong about their quarterback, then New York is a pretty tough town. They're going to continue to hear it.
I mean, that's a big.
No team in New York gets crushed more than the New York Jets. I can tell you that right now. If you're listening to sports radio, they are the one team that gets crushed constantly. I mean, it doesn't even have to be football season and somebody's got something.
It's a big culture shock. That's a big culture shock going from BYU, out in Utah, out in the sticks, where everything's hunky-dory all the time, to a doom and gloom Northeast corridor, and probably the most doom and gloom fan base and franchise in all of pro sports. I don't know.
Listen, BYU has had a lot of really good quarterbacks coming out.
I understand that. But it's the same. I can't.
They play.
So what? Because Steve Young was good. In 1994.
They play a pro-style offense.
It has no bearing. Steve Young being good in the 90s. I mean, who since Steve Young's come from BYU?
What I'm saying is they play a pro-style offense. So he's not going to have that big an adjustment as far as.
But the pro-style offense from the 90s,
it's not
league. Everything's different.
We're talking about now. BYU right now plays a NFL type offense, and Zach Wilson was a part of that, and he was one of the top quarterbacks in the in college football. So I mean,
I hear you. And if you think, sounds like you think Zach Wilson is better than Fields.
I don't think Fields was all that great. I mean, he was great in college, but I don't know that his game is going to translate in the pros. It just seems like whatever happens, whatever seems to happen to these guys from Ohio State in the pros, it never seems to work out. I don't know. I mean, Fields looks like the real deal, but so did the guy before him and the guy before him.
Where do you stand on this? Because I think the Niners are stupid for taking Trey Lance over Justin Fields as well.
I think that was more of a stupid thing for the 49ers, because they traded a ton of draft capital to go into the 3 hole and pick up a guy like that.
I don't know. Chase, what do you think about the quarterbacks? Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is the best one. He's about as can't miss as you can get. But are you a Fields guy like me? Who do you think the second best quarterback was?
I think second best would be Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, and then Mac Jones.
And the Patriots, they grab up Mac Jones at the 15th pick.
Not sure about Mac Jones. I mean,
Look,
again,
I don't know.
he gets to play with all these 5-star recruits. Who are they're he plays in a superior team. So that's why it's really hard to gauge a guy like him.
But like Alabama won the championship with guys like Jake Coker, Greg McElroy.
Exactly.
Tua.
That's the whole
Jury's still out on Tua. I think Jalen Hurts might have even won a championship there. But they just need the quarterback to keep.
I think Tua's going to be good, Rob. The only thing that could stop Tua is if he gets hurt.
Which he might. But you know what I'm saying? Alabama has all this talent. All they need is someone to keep the race car on the racetrack and not ram it into the wall.
They never had a guy like Joe Burrow as a quarterback. They never had that kind of quarterback. Never. Except you'd have to go back to 1963. Since they had a quarterback like that, that was Joe Namath. So I mean, since then, what quarterback that's gone into the NFL has been all that great? I can't even remember one, to be quite honest with you. Tons of defensive players, tons of offensive players, but not a quarterback.
In Miami,
Penn State's had more good quarterbacks come into the pros than any of them.
And then Miami, I'm taking Sewell there at 6, not Waddle.
Well, they wanted to get a weapon for Tua. They felt Tua needs weapons, which he does.
Do we think Sam Darnold, Chase? Do you think Sam Darnold's going to be successful in Carolina?
He has better receivers, so I think he'd be a little bit better than he was with the Jets because DJ Moore. I think they still have Robbie Anderson and then Curtis Samuel. Or no, Curtis Samuel went to Washington.
That's a good point. That's a good point about Robbie Anderson, Chase. Very good point, because that was his favorite receiver when he was with the Jets.
Yeah.
And then, I think Carolina, they're my sleeper team in the NFC. I think they're going to be. I think they're going to make a jump. I think Sam Darnold's going to be successful. I think Matt Rule's a great coach. They bring in Hassan Reddick to kind of round out that defense. Brad, you know all about Hassan Reddick.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I wanted him for the Giants. Hassan Reddick is a good player. I mean, I think Carolina has a chance to be a very good team this year. Things have to fall right. Things have to fall right for them, but they can certainly be competitive. I mean, New Orleans is a step down now. I think New Orleans is not going to be an elite team anymore. Tampa Bay obviously is, but the rest of the division is kind of anybody can come in second in that division.
Yeah, and then just like the Giants, I mean, Christian McCaffrey is going to be back. I mean, he had a high ankle sprain that kind of bothered him the whole year. That's not a torn ACL. That's not an Achilles. That's not a major injury.
No, it's a pesky injury that it's bad enough that you can't play, but it's not a crippling injury. It's just that you can't play with it. That's the problem.
And he rested the whole offseason. He's going to be back, and Matt Rule is going to give him a lot of touches, as he should, because he's fantastic.
Yeah, and when did Darnold ever have a guy like that?
I brought up this just for what tab did I put it on? The 2022, a 2022 NFL mock draft. Now, Chase, you're a big college football guy. So the number 1 overall pick, I don't even know. He's a quarterback out of Texas Tech. Tyler. So that's puzzling to me. I feel like I should know. Now Sam Howell is going to be in the next year's draft. He's the quarterback out of North Carolina who's really good. Now we got, and then
The kid in Indiana, I think, is going to be a terrific quarterback too. By the way,
I mean, is he a pro quarterback? Who knew? Who knows? I don't know.
yeah, I don't know either. He kind of reminded me a lot of Boomer, to be quite honest with you.
And then there's a quarterback out of USC, Kadon Slovis. I've never heard of him either. Chase, have you heard of any of these guys? Stop me and chime in if you've heard of any of these guys.
Not too much. I've heard the names before, but then also there's a quarterback from Northwestern. Unless he was a senior, I think he'll go in the draft. I forget his name, but he's a transfer from Indiana, and he's pretty good.
But this is an update. It's got the Bears taking a quarterback. They're obviously not going to take a quarterback. So I don't know. We'll have to learn about these guys as the season goes on because I have a feeling that I'm not going to be excited about the Eagles until they have 3 first-round picks next year. All right, let's segue. Let's move on. Let's get some way too early post-draft playoff predictions. Let's start in the AFC. We'll save the NFC East for last. Let's start in the AFC North. We kind of already touched on it, Chase, but, how do you see the division playing out? Obviously, a lot can change. We're not going to hold you to any of this. But who do you think is going to win the division? How many playoff teams do you think they get?
I feel like the Browns are getting really good, so I think they'll win the division. Steelers and Ravens will both be in the wild card. So Browns winning the division, Steelers, Ravens in the wild card.
So yeah, we get 3 wild card teams now. Remember, we get the Super Wild Card Weekend, which I hate.
I'm with you about the Steelers and Ravens, by the way, and the Browns winning. I am in full agreement with you about that.
I think he hit the nail right on the head. I can't disagree with any of it. And the Bengals, they're afterthoughts. They'll be in the top 5 like they always are come next year's draft recap show because they just don't get it. It's the same teams every year that don't get it. They just don't get it. It's unbelievable. Where are we going to go next? How about the AFC West? I think the Chiefs are going to be on a mission after losing that Super Bowl with all their linemen out. They signed Joe Toomey out of New England, an all-pro caliber guard, make a big trade for Orlando Brown with the Ravens. They picked Creed Humphrey in the draft. All their eggs this offseason were in the offensive line basket. You have Andy Reid, who's the best coach in the league, and you have Patrick Mahomes. I think the Chiefs walk away with this division.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think the Chargers are going to be a wild card.
I think the Raiders would be a wild card, the only wild card in the AFC West.
Okay, so that's all your wild card teams then, Chase. So you think the wild card teams are going to be the Raiders, the Steelers, and the Ravens?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers, the Steelers, and the Ravens.
Who am I missing out there? You're
missing the Titans and the Colts in the other division.
No. It's the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Raiders.
Broncos.
The Broncos.
They stink.
They were supposed to be good last year, but they weren't.
I'll tell you what, I think they made the best 2 picks, the best first 2 picks out of anybody in the entire draft. You get Patrick Surtain, who I love. I think he's just a step-in, day 1 starter. And then you get a running back who I think should have went in the first round, Javonte Williams, out of North Carolina. I don't know if they're going to have.
They're ready to compete. I don't think their offense is good enough.
Well, it all depends on Drew Lock.
Well, that's the whole thing. What is going on?
You don't like Drew Lock.
A lot of people don't like Drew Lock.
I don't understand. I guess I kind of understand why, but I wouldn't. If Drew Lock were my quarterback, I wouldn't be giving up. It's like a Daniel Jones situation. You don't have any excuses. You have a running game with Gordon and Williams. You have great receivers. They got a decent enough defense. Like, it's time to get up and go and be a pro. So
yeah, I don't see them. I don't see them. I see them finishing last in the division. I think the Chargers.
I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna hold off because we got the AFC South.
The Chargers had some awesome players on their team that were hurt too last year, by the way, and they have Herbert, who really looked good. And being that it's a quarterback-driven league, I would have to pick them second, and as a wild card.
So then we go to the AFC South. I think the Colts run away with this division.
I would disagree with that. I think the Titans are going to win the division.
I think the Titans too, and the Colts would just miss the playoffs around like 10-7. Kind of like what the Dolphins had last year. Like they had a good record but missed the playoffs.
The Dolphins, I guess they did miss the playoffs, huh? So they lost that last game. Okay. So no one's Carsoned up like me.
I think though, I think you're looking at a division that's got two okay teams in it with the Colts and the Titans. I like the Titans better. I think that they're a better all-around team. But I mean, we'll see with the Colts. I'm just not sure about Carson. I want to see him actually go out there and light it up. If he lights it up, obviously that would change. But I want to see what happens. The Titans, I think, to me, are a safer pick, and I know they've got the best running back in the league too, so that's not going to hurt them either.
And then you have Jaguars. I love what the Jaguars are doing. I love the NTN pick. I love the Trevor Lawrence pick.
Yeah, but they're a couple of years away.
Yeah, they're just getting going. I think Urban Meyer and
they're going to
Trevor,
be. They're young, and these other two teams are starting to get old. I mean, I think it's only a matter of time before you see Jacksonville get back on top of that division.
And then Houston is just a train wreck.
Houston's awful.
I mean, now Deshaun Watson is talking about not playing next year. I mean, he might go to jail. I mean, it's just really bad.
Yeah,
I think they're a lock. I think they're a lock for the first overall pick next year.
Yeah, it's become a disaster for the Houston Texans now.
Chase, what do you think about the AFC South?
I think the Texans won't really do anything, and then the Jaguars will go 6-11, and then in 2024 they'll be
ready to go. Pretty good.
I agree with you. That's a very good analysis.
So you like the Titans over the Colts, and Brad likes the Titans over the Colts. Well, the AFC is I mean, I was on record last year, a really good conference. A lot of teams are really bunched together.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna come down to what it always comes down to, Rob. It's gonna come down to who's healthy.
Then you got the AFC East. I think the
division again.
Probably
easily.
We'll see what I don't know. Easily over the Dolphins.
I think Buffalo's going to win 13 games this year. I can see
Buffalo is pretty good.
I can see the Dolphins winning 10, but I think Buffalo wins 13.
I wish the Dolphins got a running back. Maybe they did get a running back, and I just don't.
Running backs are a dime a dozen. You could always find one somewhere.
Jalen Phillips, they had a really good draft. I think the Dolphins. I do think Buffalo gets over the hump. Or no, Buffalo wins the division, but I think the Dolphins get over the hump and make the playoffs.
Well, that would certainly be the competition for the Chargers, the way I see it right now.
And then I don't I don't, Chase. I hate to do it to you, but I don't think your Steelers. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
If they got like, I think they barely squeeze in. I don't think they're like a guaranteed. Like they'd be like really close to the playoffs if they don't make it. To me, like they'll be like the first team out of the playoffs if they don't make it, or unless they just have completely trash year and go like 4-13 or something.
I don't think they're going to have a
No, I
trash
don't think
year
you're gonna
unless
see that.
Big Ben. Because even if Big Ben gets hurt, I think Mason Rudolph could be decent to okay with those offense.
The Steelers have weapons on offense.
Tremendous weapons.
They're gonna score. And Rob's
I think-
right about Bud Dupree. I mean that was a
It's a big loss.
that was a big loss, and they didn't really replace him. And that you're right about that. And they that could be an issue. But I still think they're good enough to make the playoffs. I still think they're better than Miami. Miami's got to show me that they can win. They can beat playoff teams.
Yeah, but if not now, when?
They might be.
You gotta step up. You got to step up. Nah, you got to step up. Tua played enough to get his feet wet. This is a big year for Tua. I think Flores is a good coach.
Very good coach.
I like the edge rusher they got. I like Javon Holland, the safety they got, and Liam Etchberg out of Notre Dame. I mean, 4-star recruit coming out of college or coming out of high school, goes to Notre Dame. Played a lot of good snaps at a lot of different positions on that offensive line. So I think that was a good pick.
They got a killer receiver too, so we'll see.
So I guess I got the Bills, the Dolphins. I have the Browns and the Ravens. I have the Chiefs and the Chargers. And what do I need? I need a South winner, so the Colts. Those are my playoff teams right now. I got the Titans out. I got the Steelers out. Now.
I would go with right now Buffalo. The three teams in the I would pick the Browns to win the division, and the Steelers and the Ravens, either or, as both in there. The Titans, and last but not least, the Chargers, and of course Kansas City.
We need a South. Need a South champion.
Titans.
Titans. All right. So Chase, who's your AFC?
Steelers, Browns, Ravens. Browns winning the division, and then Titans, Chiefs, Raiders, and then Bills.
So Chase likes the Steelers. What do you like about the Raiders so much? I think Derek Carr stinks.
I just think like their team is pretty young, and they can like there's always like this one team that out of nowhere becomes good. Like last year it was like Washington and they weren't really that good. But like the Dolphins unexpectedly were really good. So I think like one like team that's not expected to do good, it would be the Raiders.
So there you go.
Little sleeper pick from Chase, the Raiders.
Okay. Yeah, I thought Rob and I disagree about Derek Carr. I don't think he's as bad as he makes him out to be. I think Derek Carr is finally starting to come into his own. I just don't like their defense. But they did draft some defensive players, so we'll see what happens.
All right, let's go to the NFC. We'll save the East for last because I think that's a one-bid league. Let's go to the NFC North. I think the Packers.
Yeah, as long as Aaron Rodgers is there, they're going to keep winning those divisions. I don't know that Minnesota did improve themselves, but it just seems like their defense keeps getting worse and worse every year. So I don't see them or the Bears making the playoffs, and the Lions are still rebuilding. I mean, I think the Lions are going to be better this year, no question. I could see them. I could see them being in it for a while. and at least giving Detroit a little bit of hope. Boy, I'm starting to really feel bad for Detroit because you look at that city right now, and I mean the Red Wings suck, and the Pistons they suck, and boy the Tigers are just
dreadful. Yeah.
my God. I mean, I watched them this weekend, obviously against the Yankees, and I'm not going to brag about sweeping the Tigers. I mean, my God,
it's funny because I played golf today, and we got teamed up with this guy, and he was from he grew up in what was the name of the city in Detroit? It's in Michigan, in northern Michigan.
Okay.
And we talked about for like 3 or 4 holes. We talked about how bad all his teams are.
Oh, I mean, I just feel so bad for their fans.
Dreadful.
You know what? They're really good sports fans up there. They really are. I mean, they support all their teams, and right now, I mean, holy crap! I mean,
the Tigers have like no hope, and the Red Wings have no hope.
No, and I feel bad. And the Red Wings are gonna trade Dylan Larkin. I mean, oh, God. I just feel so bad for that fan base right now. But anyway, I digress. Let me get back to that. Green Bay wins easily. None of those other 3 teams are going to be anywhere. I'm going to be rooting against the Bears every week for obvious reasons.
Right.
Try to get a high draft pick, and that's going to be it. What do you think, Chase? Do you think any of those teams besides Green Bay are going to give anybody trouble?
The Packers probably gonna win, and then the Bears would be around like 8 and 9. So they wouldn't make the playoffs, but they'd be like a second team out or maybe first team out of the playoffs.
Okay. So yeah, I do think it's. I don't know. I'm gonna hold the phone on. So I think if anybody can sneak into a wild card there, it would be Minnesota, because they're gonna score a lot of points. Yeah, if their defense improves just like a little bit, they'll win a couple more games, and maybe that can get them in. But Green Bay is the champion. The NFC South. I like Carolina to win this division. I think the Bucs. Everyone's talk and brag about how the Bucs are bringing back all 22 starters. Sometimes that's not the way to go. I mean, the Patriots built a dynasty on turning over, 40, 50% of the roster. You got to get new hungry dogs in there. So
I just think they're kind of old. You just got to wonder how long. I mean, Godwin's not old, but I mean, for the most part, some of these other guys are pretty old. I mean, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. So I like Carolina. I like Carolina to win the division. I think they're going to be a very good football team next year. I think Sam Darnold is going to prove that he's a good player. I think McCaffrey's going to be back. I love the Hassan Reddick signing. I love Matt Rule. Jeremy Chinn's only going to get better. I mean, I would have taken Patrick Surtain over J.C. Horn, but I mean, J.C. Horn is not a bad prospect. He's going to step in and start right away. They needed someone at corner to replace Bradbury, who went to the Giants a few years ago. So I really like this Carolina Panthers team. I think they win the South, and I think Tampa Bay squeezes in as a wild card team. Chase, NFC South.
I think the Bucs will win, but the Panthers will make the wild card.
Okay. Because I don't think Atlanta or New Orleans is going to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that.
So I think that Carolina has jumped those 2 teams. So, I mean, we'll see if Michael Thomas has 125 catches with Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston as their quarterback.
Doubtful. The problem with Jameis Winston is he throws too many picks.
Then you got the NFC West. I think the Rams with Stafford. I think they're favorites in that division and in the NFC.
Can't disagree with you, Rob. I like the Rams too.
I mean, you have Ramsey and Donald on the defensive side of the ball. You have a legitimate quarterback now. Jared Goff's just okay. You have a running back in Cam Akers, who I love. You have Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Josh Reynolds, Van Jefferson.
No, they're a very talented team.
And wild cards, I'm going to hold off on my wild cards until I determine who I have in the. Because maybe I don't know. Maybe the East can snag a wild card this year.
Well, look, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna give you you guys a good laugh, and I'm gonna pick San Francisco.
I mean,
I think that Jimmy G stinks, and they still have a ton of talent on their team.
They do.
They're going to get all their guys back. I know they have a rookie quarterback, and I've always said rookie quarterbacks are usually death on a football team, but that team likes to run the ball. They really don't throw. I mean, what do they throw the ball 15 times a game?
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan's a run-first coach. Yeah, for sure.
I think that Lance, if you're putting Lance in a situation where he just has to manage the game and not commit turnovers. And they're going to have everybody back. They're going to have a tremendous defense again. They still have Kittle. They've improved their weapon situation. I think that at this point, they are going to be with them. It's going to be all about the start that they get off to. They get off to a good start. I think they could surprise a lot of people and win that division because defensively, if everybody's healthy, that's the best defense in that division. It could be one of the best defenses in football.
And then you have Seattle lurking there as well. I mean, Russell Wilson is Russell Wilson. They have Metcalf. They have Lockett. They have a good offense.
Not a very good defense.
No, they're not the Legion of Boom anymore. But no. I don't know. But
it's going to be
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson's great, no question.
Russell Wilson is going to will them. I feel like they're going to.
I want to pick at least one dark horse and not pick all the favorites. My dark horse in the NFC is going to be the 49ers, and I'm going to pick them to win the division.
Chase, what do you think about the NFC West?
I think the Cardinals will win because they added like J.J. Watt. I think they got like AJ Green.
Yes.
He won't do too much, but he can like be a running back at the goal line. And then the Rams for the wild card.
Okay.
Well, the Rams are definitely the odds-on favorite to win that division.
You think Kyler Murray's pretty good then, Chase?
Yeah, I think he's pretty good.
Okay. I don't know about Kyler Murray.
Murray has a ton of weapons. I'd like to see a little bit more. But, the Cardinals' defense kind of let them down a little bit last year, too.
Chase, what do you think about the NFC East?
Is this the last division?
This is the last division, yes.
Okay, then I'd have the Seahawks in the wild card. I didn't realize it was the last division.
Right.
I would have probably Dallas winning the division, and then Washington being close second, Giants being like right behind Washington, and then Eagles being a couple games behind the Giants and Washington.
Okay. What do you think, Brad? Because you think Brad's going to pick the Giants to win.
I would pick the Giants to win the division this year. I think Dallas is going to make the playoffs as a wild card.
I think he might be right.
I don't like Washington at all. I think Washington lucked out big time last year. They got there because they just were very, very fortunate. Ryan Fitzpatrick will win 5 games all by himself because there are games where he is Fitzmagic, and then he's going to lose 5 games because he's Fitztragic. So you're going to get those 5 games. You're getting the 5-5 there, it all depends on the other 7 games. If he doesn't lose those games for them, then they can compete. But I don't like Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't care that he has great games. He does have great games. And then he has games like he did against the Giants last year where he was absolutely atrocious. And they lose. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, okay, Washington, you have a great front four. You have all those front 4 first round picks. I get that, but at the same point, I'm going with the Giants. Better offensive team. They'll be able to score points on Washington. They always do. I think Dallas went and drafted all defensive players. They have to get better defensively. I mean,
It can't be worse.
Yeah, they can't be as bad as they were last year. I think they're going to come in second, and the Redskins will be third, and the Eagles will round out the field. But I think the Eagles are definitely going to bite somebody in the butt next year and keep them out of the playoffs, and that could be the reason.
So I think the Rams are going to make it. I think that Carolina is going to be a division champion. I think the Packers are going to be a division championship, pending if Aaron Rodgers is there. Then I have the Panthers and the Bucks. I don't know, because the Seahawks are going to make it because they have Russell Wilson, and like if you're going to be in the top, you're going to be a top 7 team in the NFC if you have Russell Wilson. I feel like that's a given.
I agree. I think 3 teams are going to make it.
I think the best team in the NFC East is the Giants. And now I got 1 wild card spot left. There's Arizona, there's San Francisco. New Orleans is out. Atlanta's out. Detroit stinks. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anybody. I don't think I'm missing anybody.
You're thinking about Minnesota?
Who's better? Who's better, the Vikings? Who's better, the Vikings or the Cowboys?
Oh, I'm going to put you one better. Who's better, the Vikings or the Seahawks? Because I'm not liking the Seahawks defense as much as I'm not liking the Vikings.
Yeah, but Brad, they're going to be a top 7 seed in the NFC just because they have Russell Wilson. Now, do I think they're going to do anything in the playoffs? No, not really.
Yeah, but the Vikings have Dalvin Cook and they have Jefferson
and Thielen. I get it.
And Thielen, don't forget, Thielen was hurt most of last year. So I think Minnesota is going to find their way into the wild card. I'm going to go with the Rams as a wild card, the Cowboys, and Minnesota. And I'm going to throw out the Panthers. Tampa Bay wins their division, and as I said, I'm going to pick the 49ers because a couple of years ago they were at that level. I think a lot of problems was the quarterback play and the injuries, and I think the 49ers come bouncing back this year, big time.
Yeah, I'll take the Vikings as well. I don't want to pick Dallas. I hate Dallas.
I hate Dallas too, but I mean, I just feel like
they're better. They're better than the Vikings. They have who's got a better defense? The Vikings, and
the Vikings have a better defense, but they're going to have a tougher schedule too.
But they have Dak.
Yeah,
Dallas has Dak, and he's way better than Kirk Cousins.
Yes, he is. Although Dak hasn't exactly been sterling in big games either.
Yeah, but I mean, Kirk Cousins hasn't either.
Well,
Chase, who do you think's better? Who do you think's better, the Dallas Cowboys or the Vikings?
The one game in New Orleans. Yeah, the one game in New Orleans in the playoffs. That was his great. That was the highlight of his career, in my opinion.
I'll let Chase pick my last wild card team. Who do you think's going to be better, the Vikings or the Cowboys?
The Cowboys, I think, have a better overall team, but the Vikings can score a lot of points. But the Cowboys has an easier division, so I just go Cowboys.
Okay. So that's my last wild card, the Cowboys, even though I hate them. And I hate the Giants too. But so Giants, Packers, Panthers, Rams with Dallas, Tampa, and Seattle as my wild cards.
Yeah, I think the Packers get to the Super Bowl this year.
If not now, when?
Exactly.
Gotta get there. You gotta get there.
Exactly.
That'll do it.
The way I picked Tampa Bay, it's time for them to finally win, to finally get to the Super Bowl. I given up on New Orleans, Rob. They're done. So now the pick is.
You need a new team. You just pick the Packers every year now.
Yeah, now we're gonna go to now we're shifting to the Packers.
All right. Well, Chase, thank you for joining us. It was fun. We appreciate your insight. Maybe before college football season, we'll get you on again for a few minutes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you to everyone who watched, liked, subscribed, shared the show. Thank you to our great sponsors, Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy. Thank you, Philly Drinkers, for making all our cool HUD radio merchandise. PhillyDrinkers.com. Click on the HUD radio collection. And thank you to Body Check Wellness. If you haven't heard about Body Check Wellness, they promote wellness through the natural extracts of hemp, topicals, gummies, blends, you name it, they got it. Use the promo code A2D Radio for a 20% discount. Until next week, peace out, everybody.